are being joined by our friend and colleague, Twinkletoes from Ohio Valley Wrestling. He's a fellow broadcaster from the UK, worked for the BBC for several years, and decided to move here to Kentucky in the United States to become a professional wrestler. So we will we'll speak with Twinkletoes here and see exactly what all went down with that.
Fellow broadcaster, it's a little bit lame.
You're right, I apologize.
Multi-time award-winning legendary British broadcaster and a global media celebrity.
You are correct, I apologize, sir. Well, I guess we'd like to start out. How did you become interested in professional wrestling?
I've been involved in wrestling, or loved wrestling all my entire life. I grew up in the UK, and when I was growing up, World of Sport was huge back then. For those that don't know, check it out online, World of Sport. That's English wrestling, the likes of Big Daddy, Dave Fit Finlay, Regal, were all huge stars in the 80s. Sure. When I was growing up. Every Saturday at 12 o'clock, World of Sport would be on ITV, which is the main channel. We only had 3 channels back then. So, you know, it was a big deal. So from the age of like 2 or 3, at 5 to 12, I used to run up the fish and chip shop. English tradition, Saturday, fish and chips, wrapped in paper, job done, bit of vinegar, you're flying. Run back home, Nan would be there and I'd watch it with my Nan. And 12 till 1, job done every Saturday.
Sounds like a full day.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I used to live for the weekends.
Sure. So
that 12 o'clock would roll around and we used to watch World of Sport. And been a fan ever since.
Sounds wonderful, sounds wonderful.
So what was your first experience with American wrestling? Did you all have WWF over in the UK?
Well, we did. That was more or less the end of World of Sport. You know, we talked about the English wrestling. One day I was flicking through the newspaper on the TV guide and I saw Superstars of Wrestling. I thought, it was on like at 2 o'clock in the morning, some obscure time. I thought, and I was expecting a documentary on English wrestlers, you know, Superstars of Wrestling. I was expecting like a Big Daddy promo or something like that. So Mum and Dad let me stay up to watch it, so I stayed up to watch it and couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. It was like, wow. I think it was like Sean Mooney or Gorilla Monsoon sitting in a studio with screens behind you introducing action, and it was like, wow, this is something I've never seen before. It's glitz and glamour, it's hype, it's over the top rope action. It's wow. And from that point on, my love of English wrestling started to wane. And I think that's when the decline of English wrestling more or less started, is when WWE first started coming into the UK, and wow, that was it. I was hooked as soon as I saw it. And then it progressively became more and more popular, and well, that was it. Bang.
Absolutely, and you know, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it seems like that was kind of the effect of any type of wrestling territory in the United States or overseas. When once Vince McMahon and the WWE kind of invaded, that kind of dwindled things down. So it looks like that's the case in the UK as well.
Very much so. English wrestling didn't want to evolve. They just wanted to stay to their own format. WWE was offering something different. It was offering entertainment, you know.
Right.
It was offering escapism more than anything else. And English wrestling just wanted to stick to its own format. You know, we'd be having rounds, so it'd be like 5 3-minute rounds would be a match, and after 3 minutes they'd go back to their corner, and it was big fat guys wrestling,
sure.
And then you turn on to WWE and it was like, wow, bang, fit guys, personalities, colourful characters, even, well, they didn't have pyro back then, but
right.
You know, that sort of wow factor. So it was the fault of English wrestling for not wanting to maybe catch up.
Sure, sure. And at what point in your life, I guess, in the UK, did you decide that you wanted to change focuses from broadcasting to wrestling and change the focus in your life for at least a time?
Well, it's always been something at the back of my mind that I've always wanted to do, but I suppose life was so good. I had a great career, I was well known, nice family, great friends, and I got into a comfortable circle. You know, life was good, why would you want to change it, sort of thing, you know?
Sure.
Everything was great about my life. I've been to the last 5 WrestleManias, I'm going to the next one, but at last year's WrestleMania, just the night before, I was in the Hall of Fame. Jim Ross was accepting his place into the Hall of Fame, and he ended his speech by saying, "Dreams come true, mine just did."
Yes.
Sent a shiver down my spine, because when I won my first broadcasting award back in 2004, that's the exact words that I used to finish that. So I thought, well, shit, you know, I'm getting this spooky feeling. And then I thought, well, if I don't do it now, I never will. I got back from WrestleMania, I wrote a letter to Danny Davis at OVW the next day, and the rest is history, basically.
Before you decided to come and do the wrestling thing, you said you had a really great position over at the BBC. How did that go? What kind of work did you do for the BBC?
Well, I started off right at the very beginning. Like I said, everything I've ever wanted to do in my life, I've always started by volunteering, you know, getting involved, just doing it, you know. I've set my sights on something, so I started off volunteering my time over 11 years ago, making a tea, doing all the jobs that everybody, you know, has to do. Sure. But whilst I was there and giving my time, I was insistent that they teach me every skill that I could possibly learn. I just used to hang around the newsreader till he taught me how to read the news. You know, I'd hang around the producer till he taught me how to produce. I'd go and hang around everybody. So over the course of like 2 years, I learned every skill that there ever was needed to do any job going, which made me valuable. And one day somebody was sick, and they needed a presenter, and wow, you know, I'm the man who could drive the desk. I'm the man who could, you know, operate the computers. I'm the man. So go and do it. I did it. I did a better job than the person who was supposed to be doing it. And they said, "Oh shit, you know, this is good." And I just went from there. Everything I've ever done has just been being in the right place at the right time. But I put myself in the right place. And over the last 11 years, I've won 5 national broadcasting awards. I've presented numerous shows on TV, radio, and just had a fabulous lifestyle. I've done lots of concerts and things like that. It's just been a roller coaster ride, really. But it's all about putting yourself in the right place at the right time. And when I decided to make the crossover from working for the BBC to working in wrestling, it was all about, again, putting yourself in the right place at the right time. And there was only one right place, and that was OVW.
Sure.
You know, it was the only place in the world. I mean, I could have easily just gone to some little independent wrestling company back in the UK, but that wasn't the right place.
Right.
I made a conscious decision that OVW was, and still is, in my opinion,
sure,
the right place for anyone who wants to make a career in wrestling.
So you left the BBC. You wrote the letter to Danny Davis after the Hall of Fame, after JR's speech.
Mm-hmm.
You came over to America. You came to Louisville. You walked into the Davis Arena. Go from there. Well, how was day one, the first day of training?
Day one was great, actually, and I didn't come alone. I came with a camera crew from the BBC because they filmed a big documentary about me. So the greatest thing for me personally is that my first day in wrestling is immortalised on tape forever, which is really good. You know, in 10 years' time, I can go back into the BBC archives and look at it and think, wow. And I remember it vividly. Rip Rogers was the trainer. Everybody was there. And he said, right, well, come on, show us what you got. And this is a man who can't do a forward roll, or
right,
couldn't do a forward roll 9 months ago, let alone anything else. So he said, run the ropes. Okay. Cameras rolling, everyone's around the ring cheering. I go against the ropes, not knowing, you know, which way to go, how to hit the ropes or anything. I just hit the ropes, and then bang, I thought head over heels, smash on the face. Oof. You know, so that was quite an experience, and all this is again caught on tape. So and then the next thing he says is, well, let's practice some chops. He gets Von Lilas in the ring. I don't know if you know Von Lilas from DCW, the heaviest chopper in the world, your knife-edge chops. When he hits you, it leaves a mark. Your body blisters. So he says, take off your shirt and show us your chops. So here's me, okay, I do them to Von Lilas. You know, Von Lilas thinks, as a fly just landed on my shoulder or something. They say, okay, Von, now you do them on Twink. Okay, so here's me taking off my shirt, and I was a heavy. I'm a heavy guy now. I'm about 280 pounds. I was probably 300 pounds at the time. Not in the best physical condition. You probably can't believe that now, being a professional athlete. You see it in front of you. But at the time, I was a little bit chubby, to say the least. So I took off my shirt, and I never felt anything like it in my entire life. The pain just went straight through me. And anyway, he said. Then he went to do the next one, and I just instinctively blocked it. And I think I broke Von Lilas' finger from blocking it, and I got bruised all over myself as well. So that's basically my first day in wrestling. Yeah.